Welcome to this Masterclass Explainer. Today, we are tackling a critical make-or-break topic in the Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706 syllabus, Mastering IAS 2 Inventories. Now you might be thinking, inventories, come on, it's just the lower of cost and net realizable value. How hard can it be? Well, according to the official principal examiner reports, this is notoriously one of the most misunderstood and poorly executed areas in the entire exam. Students bleed marks here before they even finish reading the prompt. So today, we are going to put on the examiner's lens. We are going to decode exactly what they are looking for, and more importantly, what they brutally penalize. Grab your notes, because we are going deep into the strategy. Let's dive right in. Look at this direct quote straight from the principal examiner reports. Candidates consistently confuse key terminology. Answers on IAS 2 are often too vague. Examiners want specific details. This is a massive red flag, guys. Memorizing a few textbook definitions the night before won't unlock those top-tier marks anymore. The Cambridge Assessment Framework prioritizes analytical depth. What does that actually mean for you? It means superficial breadth won't cut it. You need precise definitions. You need to show crystal clear causal relationships. And you have to integrate IAS 2 with other syllabus areas, like how an inventory write-down directly impacts the income statement and the statement of financial position. Examiners are literally begging for specific, contextualized details. If you're vague, you're losing marks, period. Here is our strategic roadmap for this session. First, command word anatomy. Second, peer deconstruction and debate. Third, strategic roadblocks. Fourth, an interactive pause and practice. And finally, an exam strategy recap. Act 1, command word anatomy. Decoding high-tariff examiner prompts. Okay, listen up, because this is absolutely crucial. When you face a high-tariff question in the exam hall, and we're talking about those massive 9 to 15 mark questions, the battle is won or lost in how you decode the prompt. Look at these comparisons on the screen. Let's say the prompt says analyze. Analyze means you need to break down the components logically. You identify the given information in the stimulus and break it into systematic steps. You show the math, you show the immediate effect. Simple, right? But what if the prompt says evaluate? That is a completely different beast. Evaluation is a higher-order assessment objective demanding you judge value, consider alternatives, and make justified recommendations based on evidence. If the prompt asks you to evaluate and you merely analyze, you are instantly capping your score at maybe half the available marks no matter how perfect your math is. Similarly, explain requires clarifying causal relationships. Why did cost drop below NRV? Whereas to what extent means you absolutely must weigh up conflicting arguments and draw a definitive, balanced conclusion. The command word dictates your entire essay structure. Ignore it, and you're leaving marks on the table. Act 2, peer deconstruction, the assessment objective debate. To really understand how to unlock these top-tier marking bands, I want you to imagine a session I recently had in our digital study suite with two brilliant scholars. We'll call them Alex and Sam. Now, they were tackling a complex IAS 2 essay problem, and they got into a massive debate about the optimal layout. Alex is a highly technical thinker. Alex argued for a purely factual, formula-driven approach. Just secure the AO1 and AO2 marks, Alex said. AO1 is knowledge and understanding, giving precise definitions. AO2 is application, executing the math perfectly and processing the data systematically. And Alex is right. That is a safe way to get a passing grade. But Sam pushed back hard. Sam is a creative thinker who understands the examiner's game. Sam argued that to hit the top marking bands, you need a broader, conceptual perspective to nail AO3 analysis and evaluation. You can't just crunch the numbers. You have to justify your recommendations based on the business's specific scenario. You have to build a bridge between technical precision and deep critical evaluation. So how did Alex and Sam resolve their debate? They self-corrected and actually agreed on this standardized 6-step procedural sequence to ensure they hit all 3 assessment objectives. Let's break it down. Step 1, deconstruct the question and those tricky command words we just talked about. Step 2, extract relevant data from the messy stimulus. Step 3, select your analytical framework. In this case, the strict rules of IAS 2. Step 4, execute with clear notation. Don't just scribble numbers, show you're working logically. Step 5, verify the results for reasonableness. Does a massive inventory write-down make sense for a company that just launched a new product? And Step 6, present with correct terminology. Following this exact sequence demonstrates to the examiner that you have a connected conceptual understanding. It shows your knowledge is transferable to literally any unfamiliar context they try to throw at you. It is a total game changer. Act 3, strategic roadblocks. Overcoming the mid-essay paralysis. Okay, we are about to tackle the absolute hardest part of an IS2 problem, getting past that terrifying mid-essay paralysis where your mind just goes totally blank. But before we break through that roadblock, I need to remind you that mastering these high-level frameworks requires consistent weekly practice. If you're serious about crushing your exams, hit that subscribe button for at Ace the Exam IGCSE right now. Turn on all notifications so you never miss a weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategy. We are dropping insider examiner secrets constantly, and you want this competitive edge locked in. All right, let's get back to the suite and see how Alex and Sam got unstuck. So, back in the digital suite, Alex and Sam were drafting a model response paragraph on screen, but they hit a major roadblock with their timing and linking, and they produced this incredibly common yet flawed draft attempt. They wrote, the inventory cost was $5,000 and the NRV was $4,500, so the value dropped. Sounds okay, right? Wrong. The examiner feedback on a sentence like this is brutal. Lacks comparative connectives, vague, descriptive rather than evaluative. This is exactly where students lose their AO3 marks. Stating facts without linking them to the specific context given in the stimulus is merely describing the data. It is not evaluating it. Seeing them struggle, I had to pause their session and step in to explain the cognitive strategy you absolutely need to get unstuck here. It's called the method mark strategy. In Cambridge accounting, examiners actually want to give you marks. They heavily award marks for your systematic process, your clear working, and your correct procedural format. This validates your analytical journey, even if your final numerical calculation is flawed under exam pressure. But there's a strict, unbreakable rule to trigger these method marks. You must always define your key terms first. You cannot just say the value dropped. You must define why it dropped using core IAS 2 principles before you even look at the numbers. I guided our scholars to rewrite their flawed section out loud, and I want you to notice the massive transformation from a mediocre descriptive answer to a flawless full-mark evaluator response. An evaluative answer relies on what we call comparative connectives. Look at this. The inventory value must be written down to NRV due to factor X, showing similarity to prior periods but differing in Y, ultimately impacting profitability. Do you see the difference? Words like due to, showing similarity, differing in, and ultimately impacting are the exact phrases examiners scan for. They show you are identifying differences, supporting them with specific evidence from the text, and drawing a conclusion about the relative importance. That is how you secure maximum AO3 evaluation marks. Act 4. Interactive pause and practice. Visual workshop and data interpretation. All right, it is time for an immersive visual workshop. I am addressing you directly now. It's time to pressure test your data interpretation and error spotting skills. Imagine we have a 60-second mental countdown timer running right now. Look at this complex mock stimulus table. I need you to calculate the final inventory valuation for these three product lines, alpha, beta, and gamma. Remember the golden IAS 2 rule. Inventory is valued at the lower of historical cost and net realizable value, or NRV. Let's extract and interpret. For alpha units, the estimated selling price is $15,000, but we have selling costs of $1,500. So NRV is $15,000 minus $1,500, which gives us $13,500. The historical cost is $12,000, which is lower, the cost. So alpha is valued at $12,000. Now look at beta. Selling price $8,000 minus $500 selling costs gives an NRV of $7,500. Against a historical cost of $8,500, the NRV is lower, so we must write beta down to $7,500. Finally, gamma. $5,200 minus $1,400 selling costs is an NRV of $3,800. The cost was $4,000. Again, NRV is lower, so we write it down to $3,800. This step-by-step extraction and comparison is absolutely vital for securing those AO2 application marks. Excellent work on the math. Now for visual question 2, spot the flaw. I'm going to display a flawed student answer, and your task is to find the 3 critical examiner traps hidden within it. The student writes, the inventory is valued lower because of the rules. The market changed, so we write it down. Wow, okay. I'll give you a second. Can you spot the traps? Let's systematically dissect the exact traps set by examiners here. Trap 1, vague details lacking specific context. The student response completely failed to mention which product line they were talking about, what specific market change occurred, or the actual dollar amounts. It's just air. Trap 2, ignored format and presentation standards. The answer wasn't structured logically. There's no clear progression from data to theory to conclusion. And trap 3, the deadliest one, confusing key terminology without initial definitions. the student actually wrote the rules instead of clearly defining IAS 2, historical cost, and net realizable value. By aggressively avoiding these three pitfalls, you instantly validate your analytical depth to the examiner. Act 5, Exam Strategy Recap, the examiner's playbook synthesized. By the end of our digital suite session, both Alex and Sam had major personal breakthroughs. They realized that logical reasoning and making cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks than just rote memorization. To synthesize everything we've covered, I want to share a powerful memory hack. When you are under intense exam pressure, your working memory shrinks and you might freeze. To prevent this, create a personal acronym for the specific factors affecting IS2 inventories, like the elements of cost versus the specific deductions for NRV. Or memorize our 6-step procedural sequence: deconstruct, extract, select, execute, verify, present. Having a mental checklist ensures you systematically process the data and never ever skip straight to execution without establishing your analytical framework first. Let's synthesize this entire masterclass into 3 memorable, actionable mastery pillars designed to guarantee a balanced, rigorously checked exam response. Pillar 1, the 3-step question scan. Always isolate the command word, identify the required content, and pinpoint the context constraints before you touch your calculator. Pillar 2, the paragraph balance formula. Every single paragraph you write must contain a clear definition, a direct application using the provided data, and an evaluative sentence utilizing those comparative connectives we practiced. Pillar 3, the last 5 minutes review checklist. Use your final moments in the exam hall purely to verify your results for reasonableness and ensure flawless presentation. This is how you sweep up all those lingering method marks. Crushing your Cambridge exams isn't just about working harder. It is about deploying consistent, targeted strategy. The examiner's playbook is entirely predictable if you know what to look for. Keep practicing, keep applying these analytical frameworks, and you will see your marks skyrocket. I want to know what topic you are going to deconstruct next. Explicitly type your target grade in the comments below right now to put it out there. And do not forget to subscribe to Ace the Exam IGCSE and hit that notification bell so you are the first to get our next exam hack. Let's master the syllabus together.